No. Welcome. Today we are looking at The Pearl and we will concentrate on themes. The Pearl is a novel written by John Steinbeck. Before we look at the themes, I'd like to give a brief introduction. Now, the novel was first published in Great Britain in 1948, but the first educational edition was first published in 2000. The novel covers several major issues and thematic concerns which still hold a lot of relevance in the contemporary society, making it to remarkably stand the test of time. Now, the novel tells the story of Kino, a poor little Indian who lives in the outskirts of La Paz town, a village of the poor native Mexicans. He finds the greatest pearl in the world, and this draws everyone's attention to him. Everybody becomes interested in him. The doctor, the pearl buyers, the beggars, shopkeepers, and thieves, among others. Kino sees these as his chance to emancipate his family from the vicious cycle of poverty. But fate, on the other hand, has a different story in store for him. He apparently fails to sell the pearl, and he and his family get several attacks. His son Coyotito is killed as he fights the truckers who follow him when he is on his way to escape a murder case and to find a market for his pearl. And this makes him realize how evil the pearl was, and he arrives at the decision of throwing it back to the sea, which takes him back to square one. And this, in another way, just proves how difficult it is to break out of the yoke of poverty in La Paz. Now, some of the major themes in the novel include poverty, social stratification, racial discrimination, religious hypocrisy, greed, exploitation or oppression, education. We have the theme of fear and insecurity, destiny, or call it fate, the theme of unity, the theme of medical care, and opportunism, among others. Now, today we will zero in on the theme of poverty. The little Indians in La Paz live in deplorable conditions. First of all, Kino, one of the poor little Indians, and just like the others, lives in a brush house, sleeping on a mat with his wife, while their baby Coyotito sleeps in a box suspended by ropes from the roof of the house. And this is clearly shown from the onset of the text, where it is said, I quote, Kino's eyes opened, and he looked first at the lightning square, which was the door, and then he looked at the hanging box where Coyotito slept. And last, he turned his head to Joanna, his wife, who lay beside him on the mat, her blue head shawl over her nose and over her breast and around the small of her back. So that is the scenario, the scene that gives us a picture of how these people live, the kind of house they live in, the way they sleep, and all speaks or rather smells poverty. Kino's people, the little Indians, make a little living from pearl harvesting using poor diving equipment. Kino, for instance, uses a stone and ropes and an old inherited canoe that had seen so many repairs. When they sold the pearls, they earned too little to support themselves. Kino, just like his fellow little Indians, cannot afford good meals. The only meal Kino has known all his lifetime is corncakes, beans, sauce, and pulgue. Actually, and in the introduction of the text, we also told, I'll quote, Kino squatted by the fire, or rather, Kino squatted by the firelight and rolled a hot corncake and dipped it in sauce and ate it. And he drank a little pulgue, and that was breakfast. That was the only breakfast he had ever known outside of feast days and one incredible fiesta on cookies that had nearly killed him. So that gives you the picture of the means they can afford or rather access. Similarly, the little Indians cannot afford good clothes. Kino can only dream of new clothes after the sale of his great pearl. He stares at the pearl, and in it he sees his family dressed in new clothes, and he affirms the dreams, saying, they will buy new clothes. Also, these people cannot afford marrying in church and baptism of their children, for it comes with a cost. Kino, for instance, hasn't married in church and baptized his child Coyotito because he could not afford. Consequently, he plans to do so after the sale of his newly acquired pearl, the pearl of the world. Lastly, the poor cannot afford basic medical services. When Kino's son is stung by a scorpion, he can't afford the services of the doctor. He only offers ugly misshapen seed pearls, as ugly and grey as little ulcers, flattened and almost valueless, and the doctor rejects them. And I believe anyone would not want to have them because they were valueless. That brings us to the end of our discussion today. We will continue with the discussion of themes in our next episode. Kindly click subscribe button and get notified when we upload the next episode. Thank you. Bye.